Hello everyone and welcome to She Minds. Hi guys and welcome to episode 2 of She Minds, Breaking the Silence. I'm your host Sophia Isabella and today we're going to be talking about depression, how to see if you're falling into a depressive state, how to get out of it, how to avoid it, and overall how to stay in a positive mindset. Let's get into today's topic. So depression could obviously look different for everyone, especially depending on the way you grew up, your surroundings, and just your mindset in total. Some people could become more jokey, they could joke around about everything, not take anything seriously. Others, they may isolate themselves from the world, not shower, not eat, things like that. But it depends on your mindset and the way you go about things and how you handle grief and trauma. For example, the way I handle trauma at times is by isolating myself. I won't talk to anyone, I'll sleep in all day, I will barely eat. And obviously, those are bad habits that we want to get into in order to strengthen our minds and to know how to deal with tough times. So for number 1, we're going to get into 3 tips on how to see if you're falling into a depressive state or if anyone else around you is falling into a depressive state. So number 1 is just losing interest and motivation in things. You can be having your own business, you can be doing really well in school, you can be serious about a sport and lose complete and utter interest in all of the things that you enjoy because you're entering a depressive state. You may not see the point and reason to continue to do those things. You may not see the joy in it that you once saw or the passion. And it doesn't mean that that's always the case. Sometimes you may be interested in something and just lose passion for it. However, if it is with something that you normally enjoy or intrigues you, that couldn't be a sign of turning into a depressive state. You may not want to play with your friends on the game anymore. You may not want to play the sport that you used to play. You may not want to even do the little small things that bring joy to your life. For example, for me, when I was entering depressive state, I have a small business. It's called Isabella's Gifts and Events. And what I do is make rose bouquets, little jars that have motivational quotes and things like that. And what I realized is whenever I'm going into a depressive state, I constantly stop doing my business. So it's either like burnout because I've been working on it way too much and not giving myself a break, or it could just be whatever situation is going on in my life, whether it's like me going through a bad breakup, me going through bad grades at school, me going through a hard family time, or even just a time where I'm just not sure of myself or who I am or who I want to be. I just noticed that because the business keeps me so grounded and I truly enjoy it, I go away from it and I go into this negative mindset. Losing interest in things, especially things that bring you happiness and joy, and just pushing it away is also what gets you into a deeper negative mindset. This is because not only are you taking away that thing that keeps you motivated, that keeps you going, but it's also you're also pushing away anything that can be positive in your life in order to feel more negative. And that's a habit that we all should try and break out of course. So for me, what I realize is when I do that, I try my hardest to just keep pushing myself. Obviously, not to an extent where I'm either going to get burned out or feel like it's too much, but just enough so that I know that just because I'm in a negative place right now doesn't mean that this is where I'm going to stay. Number 2 is excessive sleeping or excessive loss in appetite. So for some people, it could be either or it could be both. Sometimes you may be sleeping all day or not sleeping at all. Other people, they may be eating more than usual or not eating at all. For me, again, it's sleeping all day and barely eating, which obviously is a problem because then if I'm not eating, I have no energy. If I'm not sleeping, I have no energy. Or if I'm sleeping all day, then I'm always going to feel groggy. And that's not going to get my body moving or back to a place of stability where I once was. So it's important to also think about your habits and the way you see yourself going into a depressive state. Do you fall asleep easily? Do you stay up all night? Do you eat more junk food? Do you not eat at all? Just write down those little things that you feel like are signs that you're just not in your normal element or your normal mindset. And finally comes number 3. So that's just being in a negative spiral, having a negative mindset, regardless if you're in a good place or not, or you may think that you're in a good place or not. Just having negative thoughts like you're not worth it, that you're never going to accomplish anything, and just things that are honestly just pushing you down and that your energy and vibe may put others down. A good way to always check if you're good mentally or if you have the right energy or giving off the right vibe if you aren't sure is by just asking the people around you, hey, does my vibe feel off? Does my energy seem different than usual? Because I'm not sure myself. Always have those accountability partners who are going to call you out on your stuff. I know a lot of people who aren't too happy when people call them out on their stuff, or is like pointing out things about them like, hey, you know, you did this was kind of messed up and things like that. But those people are what is really going to help you elevate in your life. You want people who are not afraid to call you out on your stuff. You want people who are going to be like, hey, this wasn't that cool of you, so that you can better yourself as a person and get to that highest version of yourself. So those are the 3 tips to see if you're falling into a depressive state. Now we're going to go into how to avoid it. A little bit about me is I'm always working. Like, I've always been working on my business. I've always been working on the podcast, whether it's a downtime where I'm reorganizing everything, rebranding it, or a time where I'm filming like now and actively working on my business and things like that. But what I realized is that in those times, I tend to overwork myself and not give myself any time to decompress and really think about what my next steps are. And in doing so, that leads to burnout, that leads to me going into a depressive state, that leads to so many things that I could avoid if I would just space out those times and give myself a minute to breathe and really think about what I want. So, number 1, a way to avoid going into a depressive state. If you're feeling any type of overwhelmed or anxiety or anything, just take deep breaths. I posted a thing this past Monday about a motivation Monday quote on how to go about your days. So, as step number 2 on that, but number 1 for us is a box breathing method. The box breathing method is just inhaling, which is up, holding it, exhaling, and then holding it again. And you go in a box form because it also just helps you distract your mind when you're moving your hands and just helps you focus more on the breathing. That is going to help you recenter your focus and not have a negative spiral when you're going down that rabbit hole. Another step, number 2, is to just remind yourself of your why. I know I talked about this a little bit in the first video, but this is a really key step, especially when you're feeling hopeless and like you can't accomplish anything. Reminding yourself that you have the ability to get to where you want to be and to have that strength to just keep going. It all starts with why you started it in the first place. You can't think that you're going to get somewhere and not even remember why you started it. You can't think that you're going to get all this money and have all this passion for something if you can't even remember why you had the passion for it in the first place. So you have to continue to have your why, knowing your why. And obviously, as time goes on, your why may change. You may have started it at first because you just want money. Now you may be continuing it because you have a true passion for it. Whatever the case may be, whether that's just you bettering your life, whether that's your business, whether that's your mindset in general, whatever the case may be, you have to know why you're doing it for yourself. Not for anyone else, not for what people may have a perspective on you or whatever the case may be, just why you're doing it for you. Number 3, another way to avoid falling into a depressive episode is to just get advice if you're going through something. So for example, for me, if I see myself not being me or not just being in a positive mindset, I try to keep myself like uplifted and obviously happy and things like that. But if I even feel myself slacking, I always try to go to those who I know are looking out for me. So whether that's my mom, whether that's my cousin, whether that's one of my friends, someone who's able to give me like a motivational pep talk and just help me refocus on whatever it is that I may be going through, whatever trauma I may have experienced, help me talk through it and then move forward and know that I'm no longer in that position. Being grateful is really one of the key steps of happiness, because not only are you able to see all that you have, you don't feel bad, you don't feel less than for the things that you don't have. So many times I realize I've gotten caught up in my own ways, just realizing all the stuff I don't have that other people have. But to be honest, like I said, I'm a big Christian girly, and for me, it's whatever God has for me is going to be for me. Someone else may be getting a whole bunch of things, and I'm seeing this and I'm like, why can't that be me? But I may be getting things in a different way that I don't even know. Maybe God is delaying it so that I can get it in a way where I could truly prosper it and truly grow and learn from a situation. You know, so never think, and if it goes the same way if you don't believe in Christ, like it could be for you the universe, it could be for you like whatever you may believe in. Just know that just because something is happening for someone else doesn't mean that it's not going to happen for you. It's just going to happen for you in its own unique way that really corresponds with you in your life. So being grateful is truly a huge step to just having a positive mindset and having a beautiful life and not falling too much into a depressive state. I'm not saying that trauma and depression and sadness and all those things aren't real, because they definitely are. However, there's a way to manage it without letting it take over your entire life. And being grateful for what you do have can really change your entire perspective. And in case you may not know what you have, you can always go to people around you and they can help remind you of all that you should be grateful for. And yeah, it's gonna suck, because who wants to hear somebody when you're in a negative place like, oh, yeah, but you have this and you have that and you're this and you're that. Like, who really wants to hear that? I know so many people that every time I'm like in a bad mood or whatever, they just have like a positive response. And I'm like, yo, I don't want to hear that right now. I don't want to hear like, oh, everything is going to work out for your greater good. Everything is going to be good for you. Like, I don't want to hear that. Like, I don't care about, oh, I'm pretty, oh, I'm this, I'm that. Like, I don't care right now. Right now I'm mad, But it gets to a point where you also got to realize, like, this is your life. If you're going to live your life being sad and all that stuff, then that's what you're going to get. You're going to get sad and negative results. But if you change that mindset and you ask people like, hey, can you just remind me of like all the things that I have? I'm feeling really negative right now. I don't really see like the point of anything right now. Can you just like help me realize like all that I do have? Because some people, the outside world sees more than you have than you do. Like, people remind me constantly of how like I'm doing good on the podcast, how I'm doing good with my business, how like I'm really doing stuff for myself. And when I'm in that negative place, I'm like, yo, I don't even see what you're talking about right now. Like, I'm not doing enough. That's how I feel. But it's like, don't be too hard on yourself. Always ask those people around you for advice, not only positively, like mindset, motivational stuff, but like just in general, like, what do I have? Like, what do you see that I have? What do you see that I've like created of myself? Yeah, it's going to boost your ego a little bit, but that's going to make you feel good, because then you're going to realize, yo, I do got stuff going on for myself. I shouldn't be in this negative place. I shouldn't be downing myself, Which brings us to number 4, also how to avoid getting into a depressive mindset. Just honestly, for me, what works is affirmations. So I would say any positive outlet. So like I said, for me, it's affirmations. So I'll go on YouTube, I'll put positive affirmations, morning affirmations, and just continuously say them to myself. Obviously, at first, you're not going to believe them. You're not going to believe that you are powerful, that you are strong, that you are brilliant. You're not going to believe all that, because you're in a negative state. However, you can get out of that negative state by simply saying what you want to be or where you envision your mindset to be. If I keep telling myself I'm a positive person, I bring peace, I give off loving and good vibes, then that's what I'm going to give off, because I'm speaking that into me. I'm speaking that life over me. Like, I feel like affirmations and just speaking life into you, that's what gets you to where you want. Like, even saying like, oh, I'm a millionaire, I'm a billionaire, I attract money, that's going to get you money. You have to speak into your life and into yourself what you want. So I feel like for me, positive affirmations is a really good way. And I'm actually going to put some links down in the description so you guys can go to the videos that I use. However, it may be different for everyone. Sometimes you may just need like a book that takes you away from reality and helps you like realize like, other people, like, got this. I could get that too. Like things like that. Like, I'm not just saying like, oh, like regular like fantasy books and things like that, but like books that like are based on true stories, on people who made it from nothing and built their entire life up to get to where they want to be. Some things like that work for some people. But you honestly have to see what works for you, because not everything is going to work for everyone. Just like affirmations work for me, that mindset is not going to work for everyone. Sometimes, like I said, people need to visually read how others build up their life, or visually see in movies how others went from nothing to something. It may not always be reality. It may not always be what people actually have done. However, I feel like anything is possible. And that's a great mindset to have. Like, anything is possible. If you have that mindset, you could really accomplish anything in your life. Because like, even if I'm at my lowest, even if I'm at where I want to be right now, I can still get to where I want to be. I can get anything I want in this life. You only have one life. Why not write down all the things that you want and aim to get it? I'm not saying it's going to be easy. You're going to have to work your ass off. But why not get up and go for it? Which is what brings us back to just having that positive mindset, having a positive outlet. Because being in a depressive state is not going to help you get to your goals. Nobody is coming to save you. Nobody's coming to pick you up out of it. You have to put in that work and instill that discipline within yourself to get out of it. And just a little bit about me. I always had issue doing that. I always thought somebody was going to be here to save me. Like, I love my mom and she has always been my right hand. Like, she's always been there for me no matter what. But it had to come to a point where She's my mom. Yes. She's an adult. Yes. But she's not always going to know what I truly need. She's going to do what she can from her experience to make things better, to make things easier. However, I have to truly put in that work to get to that place. So a little bit about me. I'm not sure if many of you know this, if you guys have watched Proven Timeless and things like that. I did talk a little about it on there, but I was in the hospital. I had signed myself into the hospital because I had a very big depressive episode and I didn't know what to do. I have had depressive episodes for the past 5 years, constantly every single month. And I just went about it that same way each and every time. I would stay in my room. I would miss school. I wouldn't really eat. And then I would wait for it to pass and then go back to school and go back to my everyday activities and routines. However, I realized after a while, if I continuously do the same thing, I'm not getting any help. I'm not getting any better because it's been going on for 5 years every single month. And yeah, that gets exhausting because when I'm in the depressive episode, obviously I'm not eating, I'm not really sleeping, I'm not feeling like myself. And then when I'm not in the depressive episode, I'm trying to either cram all my business stuff into that time period, which is making me about to drain myself out, crash out, burn out, whatever you want to call it. That's exactly the route that I was going down, that rabbit hole. And then right before I would get my episode, it's like that anxiety. It's like, okay, I'm rushing to do all this stuff before I fall into another episode because I know it's coming. And then the anxiety of about to go into another episode. So I was never fully calm. I was never at peace. I was always on go all the time. And it's okay to be on go sometimes, but if you're constantly on go, it's going to get exhausting and you're not going to know how to manage yourself. You're going to lose your mind. And that's what I did. So it got to that point where it's like, okay, a couple of months before I went to the hospital, I'm like, all right, I need a therapist. I need to talk to somebody. Not everyone needs a therapist. That doesn't work for everyone, talking to someone about their problems. But my biggest issue was I used to hold everything in. I wouldn't say nothing. I would hold everything in. And then I was that type of person that if someone had gotten me mad weeks before, I would just continuously hold it in and then spaz on them weeks later, which is not okay. And I know a lot of people, especially in our generation, do that because they don't know how to communicate. They don't know how to express themselves when they're going through stuff, or they don't want to let that level of vulnerability be shown, which is understandable. But what I learned is letting that level of vulnerability show. Yes, people may react badly. People may make fun of you, but at least you got that out of your chest. At least you got the point across that you needed to get across. You did that for yourself. So when I was the type of person who used to go up to people looking for clarity and all this stuff and crying and all this stuff, and people used to be like, oh, why do you even still care? Da, 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 da. I will always be that person to still care. I will always show that vulnerability because that's what helped me get out of that depressive state. So why would I not? If I have a question, I'm going to ask it. Why would I not? If I want to let something off my chest, I'm going to say it. Why would I not? If I know that that's what helps me, why would I stop that convenience for me? Why would I inconvenience myself just because you don't like it? I got to do what I got to do for me. So that brings us back to just all in all, why I went to the hospital. So comes up the hospital or whatever the case may be, comes up around that time. The week before, I had lost somebody close to me. I was going through a lot mentally. I just wasn't myself. I had just graduated high school and I just turned 18. So it was a lot, it was a lot of change. It was a lot of growing up. It was a lot of just taking that next step and going into the next chapter, which is scary. Growing up is terrifying. You realize how much your life is changing quickly, rapidly. So 1 minute things could be great. The next minute things will go crashing down. The only thing that's really going to make sure or seem if you're good or not, make you good or not, is your mindset. If you have a bad mindset, when things go left, your entire life is going to get messed up. If you have a good mindset, when things go left, you're going to be like, you know what? That sucks, but I'm okay because I know I'm going to get it next time. And it's all about your mindset. And I knew that if I continued to stay home, not sleeping, not eating, doing all that stuff, I was never going to get to that next level of elevation. I was going to keep staying in that sunken place. And I didn't want to. I wanted to get out of it. I wanted to grow. So I had to sign myself in. I was like, you know what? I'm literally laying here on the kitchen floor. My mom came home. She saw me lying there. I was like, I don't want to be on this floor. There's so many times I had just lost all energy and I would just fall to the floor and I would just cry. And I just was so numb. I didn't even know who I was. I didn't want to be in that position anymore. And I needed to take that action to get myself out of there because nobody was coming to pick me up. Yeah, my mom could sit here, make me feel better, give me soup, give me coffee, whatever the case may be, but that's not gonna make me better. That's gonna give instant gratification. And I feel like a lot of us fall into that. We so focused on getting quick money, getting quick results, getting into a relationship quickly, getting everything quickly. We lose focus that's not gonna be substantial long term. So I was like, you know what? What is the action I could take now that I may not get instant gratification? I may not like it in the present, but that long term is gonna benefit me 10 times more. That I'm not gonna be easily anxious, that I'm not gonna be easily freaking out over little things. I'm gonna be calm, that I'm not gonna go into a depressive state every single month. What step can I take to get out of this cycle and this hole that I've been in? Because I had a problem with getting instant gratification. I'm like, okay, what's the easiest way for me to feel good right now? Let me just text people back who have DM'd me. Let me just like respond to messages and FaceTime people that I know I see nothing with, but let me entertain it, because why not? If I like somebody even in the slightest, let me like jump to like trying to build this whole relationship with them just because right now they make me feel good, without even thinking about the long-term benefit. Do I really see myself with them? Are they someone who truly makes me a better person, helps me want to grow and develop as a person? Or are they just someone that is good for right now because they don't put no pressure on me, and if I don't want to do anything, I don't want to do it, and they allow me to, and they're like cool with that? No, you want people in your life who are gonna push you and elevate you to become your best self. No, it's not gonna be all flowers and dandy and all that stuff, but it's gonna help you elevate. And that's why I realized I had to change my circle. I had to change my mindset. I had to change the way I go about things. I had to change the whole game. I used to do things just to please my family, just to please my friends, just to please my boyfriend, whatever. I realized I had to do stuff that's gonna elevate me. And yes, maybe that means listening to my mom sometimes when she's calling me out on my stuff. Listening to my friends sometimes when they're like, hey, Sophia, you know, you could have gone about this in a better way. And swallowing that pride, which is what a lot of us have a difficulty doing. We don't swallow our pride. We're so stuck on like what we think and what we want and what we believe that we don't listen to somebody else when they call us out. And that is going to be the death of a lot of us. We're not going to get to where we want to be if we keep letting our pride run our lives. So I had to change that. I was like, you know what? If somebody's telling me I'm doing wrong in something and I could see how it could be a little bit wrong, instead of spazzing on them, instead of yelling at them and getting all upset, let me really take into consideration what they're saying and see how I could go about it better. Let me really hear people out instead of just wanting to be the one to talk. Let me really take in their concerns and really see where I went wrong. And that takes a lot of strength, because so many people in this world just want to be right. We cannot all be right. We do not know everything, especially if we're young and developing. We don't know everything. So I'm not saying that all adults are right or anything like that, but different people have different strengths. If you know that your friend has a stronger mindset when it comes to self-control, when it comes to anger issues, and they're telling you that you have them, or whatever the case may be, or that you shouldn't have said this in a certain way, listen to them. If somebody has a better mindset in relationships and how to navigate them, and they're giving you advice, listen to them. Don't be so quick to just decline it or ignore it because you feel like, nah, I'd rather do my way. My way is better. And I feel like I had a lot of issues with that. And that's exactly why my pride was so big that's why I just sat there in my room sleeping all day or not sleeping at all and just not eating or whatever. Because I was so prideful to say what was really wrong with me. I wouldn't even tell my mom. I would just be like, oh, I'm sick. And then obviously she'd think I'm like physically sick all the time, and I wasn't. I just didn't have enough like vulnerability within me to really say what was going on. And that's what really got me to that level and to that point where I was like, I can't be here right now. I cannot keep laying on this floor. I cannot keep going through this cycle because I'm getting older and now stuff is getting even more real. Yeah, I mean, I want to get older. Yeah, I may want to be a kid forever, but this is reality. And I need to suck it up and get it together. So with that choice, I signed myself into the hospital. I stayed there for about 3 days. No phone, no social media, no nothing. I just had books and puzzles. And I'm not going to lie. A lot of people say that it's scary, obviously, to go into the hospital and stay in the psych ward and all that stuff. But for me, that was probably one of the most life-changing moments of my entire life. Not only because I wasn't I wasn't as deep into it as a lot of people there were. Obviously, a lot of people have more psychological, differences than I do. However, when I was in there, it really showed me the different ways of life. Like, I'm an adult, so I was in there with adults. And you see how a lady had to just go in there before she got to a bad point so that her kid wouldn't see her that way. How a man had to go in there so that his family wouldn't see him that way. And it's like these people are leaving their families because they held things in for so long. At least now they're able to go to the place and like prevent their children from seeing that. But I realized me doing this now, me taking these steps and initiative now at this young age is gonna help me moving forward in the future. So yeah, it gives me, not only does it give me like a gratification in the present, like helping me realize what I was doing wrong before, just staying in my bed and all that stuff, but it also gave me the hope for a future where my kids don't have to see me like that. Or they won't have to see me get to that so sunken low point because I already took that initiative to do the work and instill the discipline within myself now. So being in there, it was really calming. It was really peaceful. I got to read more, and it really just helped me regain focus of my life. No, when I got out, I wasn't automatically happy. I wasn't automatically changed, but it gave me hope to realize, you know what? I do want to live this life. I do deserve to live this life. And it's not talked about enough. Kids our age, whether you're in your 16, whether you're 16, 15, 14, whether you're 20, 21, 22, that age range, even though it's big and there's a huge gap, a lot of us have gone through the same thing, whether that's dealing with self-harm, whether that's dealing with depression, whether that's dealing with not feeling worthy, whether that's so many stuff that has messed up our mindset, especially in going through the pandemic. So many of us have lost that touch with not only ourselves, but with people around us. And I feel like just in that in itself, we don't know how to communicate and we just hold everything in, which obviously damages us in the long run. So just me going there, it really showed me like, you know what? It's okay to be vulnerable. It's okay to wear your heart on your sleeve and not care what anybody else thinks. And that's hard. It's difficult to go on here and say things that like I went through and stuff like that. But my whole thing is if it is at least going to help one person, I'm going to say the story 5,000 times. Because there are so many people who are going through this that it's not discussed enough. So many people that don't feel worthy. So many people that feel like they can never get to that place that they want to. So many people who don't want to be alive. And it's not discussed enough because everybody's so focused on being the bigger person in the sense of looking cool or not having to be vulnerable or not saying how they feel. It's okay to not know what you want. It's okay to be confused. But what are the steps you're doing to get out of it? What are the steps you are doing to get to the point in knowing what you want and knowing what you stand for and knowing what life you want for yourself? And that's what that experience did for me. So when I left the hospital, it changed my whole game. It changed my whole mind. I was ready to go into, you know what? I may not know where I want right now. I may not know where I see myself right now. But I know that I'm going to do everything in my power to figure it out. I'm going to try working on the business again in a different way. I'm going to try working on the podcast again in a different way. And I'm going to do it in a way that's going to bring me happiness and joy. And if it doesn't, then maybe I need to step into another field or step into something else that's going to help me find that passion again. And luckily for me, it wasn't that business and it wasn't this podcast. However, that may not be the case for somebody else. You guys may decide to take that break. And I'm not saying everybody needs to go and send themselves into the hospital. But I'm saying you may need to just take a break from the world. Or you may need to surround yourself with people if you're so used to isolating yourself. Talk to people about what you're going through. And that's why I always have the line open. You guys can obviously DM the She Minds podcast, Instagram chat and everything. And I'm also going to be making a Discord this week so that everybody could like just go in there. And if you need advice or whatever, you could contact me personally. And I'll help you guys out. Because it is a community. Honestly, we all need somebody to lean on. We all need each other. Nobody should be left in the storm, not because of their age, not because people are telling them to be strong or anything. What I went through was my own story, but everybody goes through things differently. Everybody handles things differently. And it doesn't mean that you have to, like I said, sign yourself into the hospital. But at least you know that you're not the only one going through it. And you have somebody there with you. And for me, that was probably the most life-changing part of my life. Yeah, obviously here and there I fell into some of my old bad habits, but now I'm able to catch myself in doing so. Now I'm able to realize, like, you know what? This isn't me anymore. I don't want to talk to people or DM people back just because I want that instant gratification of that I'm really like an amazing person or whatever the case may be. If I'm going to be with somebody, it's because I'm going to be with somebody who is actually putting in the time and effort and intention to be with me. That they have a relationship with God, which is one of my values. That they have goals and a vision for their own life. That they want to truly grow with someone. That they're okay with being held accountable and holding someone else accountable. And just truly building and growing together. Which I feel like life is all about. And that may mean I have to wait for a little bit to get that type of love. but I'll wait. Just like in the business, I may have to be working and working and working now. It may be a while until I get that, like, those views, until I get those sales. However, I know that the end game, the long run, is going to be worth it. So I'm going to keep on working on it. The same thing with this podcast. I'm going to keep on posting these videos. I'm going to keep on reaching people, whether it's at a small number or a high count view. But I'm going to keep on going until I get to the place that I want to be, until I see the results that I want to, and truly I'm able to help people all around the world. You have to know what you want, which is going to be our journal prompt for today. What I want you guys to do is just write down a list of all the things that you may want. Write down a list of all the goals that you have for yourself, and see what steps you can take to get them. Write them all down. Write down a column of all the goals you have, and then on the back of that page or just next to it, or however you guys want to do it, just write down the steps you could take. So for me personally, I wrote down that I want to get more views on my Instagram page. What can I do to get those views? What can I do to spread that mental health awareness that I want? I began the Motivation Mondays, and I'm going to try to add a little bit more different things into it in order to get those views and to get those results that I'm looking for. And just things like that. Once you're in a depressive state, it is hard to get out of it, but changing what you usually do is a way you can. For me, like I said, it was getting out of that bed and just saying, yeah, I need to go to the hospital. Yeah, I need a therapist. Yeah, I need to talk to somebody. And that changed my life forever. And here we are. Keeping that positive mind has been difficult. Obviously, like I said, times have came where I have gone and failed and gone back into my old ways. But the way I regain myself and regain my focus is by just doing these 4 things: affirmations, reading, praying, and remembering my why. That remembering your why is huge, because if you don't remember why you started in the first place, how are you going to continue to stay positive? The way I remember my why is looking back into when I was in that place, looking back into when I was in that dark hole, when I was at the hospital, right before I went into the hospital. And I'm just remembering, like, you know what? At least I'm not there anymore. Look at all that you have. Like, I'm telling you guys that being grateful is also huge. Look at what you have. You're not where you used to be. You're not where you want to be, but at least you're not where you used to be. Those positive affirmations are what helped me stay in a positive mindset. Reading helps me stay in a positive mindset because I'm not here on the phone all the time. When you guys are on, you don't understand the toll that social media takes on you. If you're on social media all the time, scrolling through Instagram, scrolling through TikTok, doom scrolling, whatever the case may be, that's what your life is going to be. That's what your mind is going to see. You can't sit here and scroll and scroll and scroll all day long and expect it to be like good. It's brain rot. You're literally feeding your brain rot. So what I do now is when I see I'm scrolling too much or I'm too much on social media, I just turn my phone off, put it down to the side. And for me, I either read the Bible, I either pick up a self-care book to read or a business book to read. I just go do something productive. I just get up and decide to work out. Because how is scrolling going to benefit my life? How is that going to benefit my mindset? And yeah, at first, it's boring. You're like, yeah, I don't want to do this. I don't want to sit here and pick up a book to read. I want to watch YouTube. I don't want to sit here and go work out. I want to play the game. Yeah, it's going to suck. But if you continue to train your brain like that, it's all discipline. If you continue to train your brain like that, to get up when you don't want to go out and go for a walk when you rather just sit at home playing the game, to really apply that pressure and to go and do the things that you want to do, you're going to elevate your life in the long run. Everybody, like I said, we all thinking short term. Guys, we have a long, beautiful life ahead. Yeah, right now it could feel good, but how is that benefiting you in the future? It's not. Because then when you look back, you're going to be like, damn, I should have done this when I was younger. Damn, I could have done this when I was younger. That's why I take those risks now. If I know that something isn't for me right now, I'm taking those risks now. Because the quicker I find out what's not for me now is the quicker I could get close to finding out what is and get to my goal and really apply that to my life and get somewhere big. It's all about the long run. Yeah, it might suck right now because you want to play the game. Yeah, it may suck right now because I really want to watch TV, but instead I'm reading a book. It's going to suck. But the more discipline you instill in yourself, the more the world is going to repay you. Because you're putting in that work without even realizing. You're reading and all this stuff that's training your brain to have a more intellectual conversation, have a more intellectual mindset. Okay? Instead of watching the TV, you go to work out. Now your body's not only getting healthy, like physically, appearance-wise, but now internally as well. Boom, that's helping you out in the long run too. Now I'm not sitting here and deciding to, like I said, go and play the game. Now I'm deciding to go and work on my business. Now that's getting me more revenue, that's getting me more publicity, and it's increasing my business. That's what's going to help me in the long run. Not sitting down, watching TV, playing the game, none of that. So really, a good way for you guys to really get back and refocus your mind is to just remember your why, look at where you are now, look at where you want to be, and write down those steps you could take to get there, which is why that's today's journal. Like I said, write down your goals, write down the steps you could take, and then apply it. Because you could write down forever, whatever you want to do. Keep writing things down. But if you want to apply it to your life, how you expect to get there? If you have all these goals and write them down and have a vision board and you're not doing anything to really apply that to your everyday life, how are you going to get those goals? That's a dream. There's a difference between dreams and goals. Dreams are things that you wish to have but never put in the work to get. Goals are something that you wish to have and you're going to put in the work until you get it. Do you guys want to sit here and be dreamers, or do you guys want to sit here and be accomplishing your goals? That's really what you got to think about and what you got to do for yourself. Because if you're sitting here dreaming forever, you're not going to get anything you want. If you're sitting here writing down those goals, putting in that work to get them, that's what's going to elevate you and get you to where you want to be. So put down that phone, put down that game, turn off that TV, go work out, go study, go apply yourself in the things you want to do, and reach your goals. Get up and stop waiting for somebody else to come and save you, because nobody's going to save you but you. Get up. And with that being said, thank you guys so much for today's episode. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and just stay tuned for more wellness tips. I'm going to be posting constantly on my Instagram. I am Sophia Isabella, which is also going to be in the link in the chat below, so that you guys can go and check me out and all the things that I'm helping you guys out with, whether that's Motivation Mondays, Wellness Wednesdays, whatever the case may be, just so that you guys have instant things that obviously if I'm not posting or you already finished the journaling, you could also see things that's to do as well. But like I said, research what works for you guys. Write down what works for you guys. Write down where you want to be. You guys got this. I love you guys, and thank you so much for this episode. This was She Minds. I love you.